There's not a day that goes by where I don't see the best exercise to burn more fat or the best workout to lose weight. And right now, the so-called SIT is all the rage, sprint intervals training. So in today's video, we'll look at how to train to lose weight. And this will also help you recognize when people tell you BS about weight loss. So let's dive in. Hi, my name is Yannick. I am the co-founder and head coach of Women's Strength Society. I help you win the game of long-term body transformation by eating and training better. I've seen this a few times in the last few days on Instagram. Posts and reels about how sprint intervals training should help you burn up to 40% more fat than a normal HIIT training. I also hear or read at least once a week that training with higher reps and less weight is better to lose weight. This comes both from uninformed influencers and confused clients. And yesterday, I saw a video recommending doing 1,000 bicycle crunches daily to get rid of body fat. So, does this really work to lose weight and burn fat? Is there really a workout or an exercise that helps you lose more body fat? Well, unfortunately, none of this matters if your nutrition is not on point. Like none. You must eat fewer calories than you burn if you want to lose weight. This is called a calorie deficit. And to make sure you understand this, I'm going to show you how this works. Then we'll dive into how to train to make it easier to achieve and sustain this calorie deficit. So the name of the game when it comes to losing weight is energy balance. It is the balance between how many calories come in and how many calories go out. On one side, we have everything that we eat and drink that gives us calorie. Pretty easy. Anything that has calories adds up to become our calorie intake. On the other side, we have what we burn, and this has 4 parts. The first part is the energy we burn by just being alive. This is called your basal metabolic rate, and this is what burns the most calorie. The second part is the thermic effect of food. So to stay alive and cover our need for a basal metabolic rate, we need to eat. What we eat gets digested and this produces heat. By producing heat, we burn calories, and those are added up to our basal metabolic rate. The third part is very interesting. It's called the NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a very fancy way of saying the heat that we produce by moving around and doing stuff that is not a workout. So it can be scratching your nose, cooking, making love, laughing, but also walking. Here's why the NEAT is so interesting. It's not added up to your basal metabolic rate, it multiplies it. So let's say your basal metabolic rate is 1,500 calories. If you do 10,000 steps daily, you'll burn around 1.3 times more. This is an extra 450 calories. This is the equivalent of a light meal. And finally, we have the fourth part of how you burn calories. It's called the EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis. It's the heat you produce when you are training. This gets added up to your basal metabolic rate, like the thermic effect of food. So before I go any further, you need to understand this. How much you burn in a workout alone does not matter at all if you don't pay attention to what you eat. If you want to lose weight, you need to eat fewer calories in total than what you burn, period. To give you a reference of how many calories you need, you can use our free calorie calculator, and you'll find the link in the video description. And here's exactly the problem with all the best exercise to lose fat. For one, they don't work if you don't change the way you eat. Also, it makes you believe that the key for weight loss is your training. But it's not. I don't care if it's a crunch, a HIIT, a sit, or if you train with a sauna suit. The goal of your training is to keep and build your muscles, not to burn fat. Losing body fat and keeping or even building muscles is what helps you look better and get healthier. This also boosts your metabolism and makes it easier to achieve a calorie deficit. So now that we've got this out of the way, how should you train in a fat loss phase? Should you really train with more reps and less weights? And what kind of cardio should you do? The reality is, there's no definitive answer here, but there are guidelines that you can use. So let's look into it. First one, you want to train to build muscles. The best way to keep your muscles is to train to grow them. And thankfully, there are different ways how you can achieve this. When it comes to the number of reps, if you stay between 6 and 15 reps, you're in a very good spot. Some even say 5 to 30 reps is fine. There are 2 important things here though. One, you need to train close to failure. You can check out our video on training to failure to make sure you get this right, because this is very important. Number 2, higher reps can be a bit more difficult to perform when you reduce your calories. This is because there is less energy stored in your muscle, and doing lots of reps when the energy is lacking is very hard. So choose the rep ranges that you like the most and train there with intensity. If you like to use a bit heavier weight and train below 10 reps, then do this. If you like to use lighter weights and are more comfortable with 15 reps, then go ahead and do exactly this. Make then sure though that your training plan is structured in a way that lets you progress. And this leads to point number 2. You want to train progressively. You need to increase the weight for a given number of reps or increase the reps for a given weight slowly over time. So let me give you an example here. Let's say you can leg press 150 kilo. This is 330 pounds for 10 reps. You then try to do 152 kilo for 10 reps. If you succeed, then add weight the following week again. At some point though, you won't be able to increase the weight anymore for this given number of reps. So maybe the next time that you train the leg press, you increase the weight up to 154 kilos, but you only manage 8 reps. You would then stay at that weight and try to do 9 reps the next time instead of increasing the weight again. Now you can see that what I described is already 4 weeks of training progression if you do the leg press once a week. Keep in mind here that your progress will be a bit slower when you reduce how much you eat so you can lose weight. And you still keep training with the same intention, make small progress every time that you train. As you just heard, this is a process that goes slow, but you must sustain for a long period of time to really build muscles. And to do this, you need to recover, which is point number 3. You want to train for recovery. It is possible to get excited with your training and do more than you can recover from. In fact, this happens to me all the time. And sometimes you don't notice it right away. You might get super sore or be super tired the day after your training. This is the acute fatigue of one training session. But the fatigue from training accumulates over time because you don't train once and then you're done forever. You do it 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, and it might take 1 or 2 weeks to notice that you are doing too much. Your sleep may be getting worse, your digestion or your mood as well. Your appetite can change. Some people get super hungry like me and others can't eat. So make sure that your training is allowing you to progress but also to recover. And this is one of the problems with the hit and sit type of training or site. I don't know how you pronounce it. Those are really intense. In fact, that is exactly the argument used to promote the sprint interval training. You do all-out sprints, and this is what will help you burn more fat. The problem is you cannot do this every day because it is so intense. Now, sprints are awesome, but they are extremely taxing. Using this as the only strategy to burn fat will leave you burnt out very, very quickly. And again, the goal of your training is not to burn calories so much, but more so that to increase and maintain your muscle mass. And to do this, you need to have some form of strength training. For most people, training 3 to 5 times a week will give them amazing results. I often hear people say that they need to train every day, or they do 8+ exercise with 5 sets per exercise. This is so much volume, this is a clear giveaway that their training intensity is too low. And there's another problem here which leads us to point number 4. You want to train for your hunger, or hunger management. This kind of training, be it the sit, like sprint interval training or a very high training volume, can greatly increase your hunger. Obviously, this is not what we want when you try to eat less than what you burn. So let's take a closer look at the volume thing. The volume refers generally to the number of sets that you do per exercise, per workout, and in total over the week. In general, we want between 12 to 20 sets per workout. This is between 2 and 5 sets per movement, with 3 to 7 movements per workout. This is 50 to 80 total sets over the course of a week. When you train at the intensity where your body builds muscles, you'll build up fatigue. Trust me. This happens during the session, but also over the weeks of the training cycle. It requires some effort to do this, physical but also mental. And you only have so much capacity for one given day. This is where things become a bit problematic and leads to excessive hunger. If you can do much more than 4 or 5 sets per exercise per day, or you can do more than 6 to 7 exercises, it's because you're not training with enough intensity. And this is the reason why you can just keep going and feel like you need to do more and more and more. But the intensity is not sufficient to create a big change in your body, while you still accumulate a lot of fatigue. This is actually a lose-lose situation. You're fatiguing without a proper training effect. And so this will increase hunger, making it that much more difficult to stay in a calorie deficit. Now, for the whole session, we want to be around 15 sets total. This is where most people get a very solid training effect while recovering well. This will also make sure that you don't get as hungry as a bear and you can stick to your calorie deficit. The point here is don't do more than you can handle. Only increasing how many calories you burn by doing more of everything will not end up well. And this is where we get to our last tip, tip number 5. You can boost your weight loss with steps and cardio, but you have to be smart about it. So let's do a quick recap here. So far, we've seen what it takes to actually lose weight. It's a calorie deficit that comes mostly from adjusting what you eat. Then we've seen why and how you want to train when you reduce your calorie intake to lose weight. 3 to 5 strength training sessions each week that allows you to progress over time. We've also touched on how to structure those training sessions so your hunger doesn't go through the roof. Now, let's assume you do all of this consistently over a few months. Everything is going well and you feel you have the capacity for more. Or you want to boost the whole process a bit to increase the speed of your results and with it your motivation to stick to the plan. In this case, it's a good idea to increase your steps count and or add a bit of cardio. So I spoke earlier about doing 10,000 steps each day. This is a great start and we see the best results with our members when they do between 10 to 15,000 steps daily. The sweet spot seems to be around 12,000, so try it out and see what works best for you. Also, doing some easy cardio is very beneficial. We're talking about 20 to 30 minutes twice a week and getting your heart rate up to 160 minus your age. I promise you, if you do all of this for the next 16 weeks and you are accurate, your body will change. Remember though, that you must adjust your nutrition to lose weight. So subscribe to our channel to check out our video 12 nutrition hacks for fat loss.